none of it interested me at all. And I'm like, man, like, and my intuition at that time was just screaming at me. Like, I felt like, and I don't know if you ever had this feeling, but I felt like there was a better life waiting for me elsewhere.
Welcome back to the SwaySide Connection Podcast. And who do we have on today's episode?
Ryan Johnson, class of 1998.
1998, representing in the house, obviously. You know, myself being 1998, I'm kind of biased with, and then just basically out of who I know, I mean, I just know more 1998 than all of the other classes. So, but I would like to get more on. But until that happens, we're going to just keep riding with the 1998ers. And so, yeah,
Let's
man,
do it.
welcome to the podcast.
Thanks,
What are
man.
you
Thanks
drinking
for
over?
having me.
Yeah, are you drinking anything over there?
Well, I'll give you two guesses, but you probably only need one. Drinking a cold frosted Guinness.
As he flexed the shirt. Wow. So you're drinking and you have the shirt on. That's awesome.
It happens a lot. Actually, when we go out to the bar sometimes, the waitress come up to me and she'll be like, "What are you going to be having?" And I just look down at my shirt and I'm like, "Really?"
That's awesome. Do you order those? Like, how do you,
Trying to think. I got about 3 or 4 shirts. And I think I've just picked them up over the years from stores and whatnot.
Random. You'll see them random, right? And then you'll just buy it.
Yeah. Like we went out to Idaho a few weeks ago and
Yeah.
they had this whole Irish shop and pretty much everything in there was Guinness. And I couldn't find a shirt that was my size to save my life. But I was like, man, and the one thing I don't have is a Guinness hat yet. So other than that, I've drinking so many. I think like the company should like, I don't know, send me something, you know?
Is that your favorite? Would you say they're your favorite?
Yeah, I think over the years, so I'll say this, the one beer that I can drink that even if I drank 10 of them, I won't feel hungover the next day. I don't know what it is. Yeah. And trust me, I've done that many
put that
times.
to the top. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
and they get you pretty lit. Are you pretty drunk when you're after
no,
that
a
many?
lot of people, I think they get intimidated by Guinness, but the reality is I think it's only 4.2%. It's not very strong. I mean, it appears heavy
okay.
because it's a stout.
It feels heavy.
Yeah. And I like dark beers just in general, but you know, here we got so many beers that are 6, 7, even higher. And
Yeah. The
but no, I
IPAs
could drink.
especially.
Yeah, but it's funny because I was never the first go around drinking beer in the States. I was never connoisseur of beer at all. I would just
Same.
drink whatever was cold. I mean, I've
I
had
just kind of
good and
stuck with
bad
Coors
days.
Light. Like for me, I just kind of stuck with Coors Light. It was like available. It's everywhere. It's cheap. And then it was out of all the, because I don't really like beer like that either. But like for
Yeah,
me, it was just like Coors Light just kind of tasted like water after a while. Like, and to me, I was like, okay, I could drink enough of these and they kind of get me drunk. And so
it
I
makes
was
me
very
sleep.
similar. Yeah, no, I mean, all beers, like after 3 or 4, they kind of do that to me too. They make me sleepy. Unless I'm doing something like camping, which is kind of weird. Like if I'm camping and I do a
Sure.
steady pace, it's weird. I could kind of just sit by the campfire and just kind of pound them like continuously without falling asleep. It's weird. And it's just like, I don't know. I think it's just something with like being around the campfire and just kind of like, obviously I'm with people like hanging out and, so that stuff but almost
Yeah.
all other, like if I'm at a Mariners game and I drink beers, I will fall asleep at a Mariners game and even sometimes Seahawks games too. So that's why it's like sporting events, I'm not immune to falling asleep after a few beers. And so, yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I've had my fair share of passing out, especially when I was down south of the border. But yeah,
Oh
Guinness
yeah.
has never done that to me. I think my record was like in one sitting, I think I did like 12 or 13 at an Irish pub of
Wow.
the normal cans. And I went in there like months later and I'm like, man, is any of these tourists ever drinking anything close to that? And the guy's like, nah, man, maybe like 4 or 5. I was like, you guys should put my picture up on the wall or something. You know what I mean? But,
For real.
no, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those beer. I think it's just so pure that, I don't know, it works for me. So,
No, that's dope. Speaking of Irish pubs, my favorite thing about Irish pubs is they're kind of like it's is the food. Like, so if I see an Irish pub, I get excited to
Yeah,
see like what kind of food they have because I
absolutely.
love like shepherd's pie and like stuff like that. So if they have a shepherd's pie, I'm ordering it, right? And like and I'm not big on like Guinness, but I do love whiskey. So like whatever whiskey they'll have, I'll have that
Like a
too. And so
Jameson or something.
1,000%. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So that's why, like, yeah, if I see an Irish pub, like anywhere in the world, like, I've been to them in Germany, Canada, wherever. And it's just like, and obviously in the States, that is one of my
that's right.
favorite things is kind of seeing what type of food they have. Cause they'll have all the solids, right? They'll have the Guinness, the Jameson, but then like,
Sure.
I'm always curious to see like what they're making in the kitchen. And like, man,
Yeah.
shepherd's pie just hits. It's like
It's
one of my
ironic
favorite things to eat.
that you mention because there's actually a song called the
Oh,
Irish
what?
Pub Song, and
I didn't
it's
know that.
basically. Do you know that song?
No, I didn't even
No.
know
So,
that.
so the chorus. I'm not going to sing on camera, but the lyrics basically says, "Wherever you go around the world, you'll find an Irish pub," and
Oh,
it's
shit.
so true. Yeah,
It is.
the one that I drank the most at was just before I left Mexico, and it was in a small Mayan town in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Okay.
And just in the middle of the street was just this random Irish pub, and I think the guy that owned it was from Poland or something,
Wow.
and I don't think they had, like, shepherd's pie or pot pies or anything cool like that. They were I mean, it was still in Mexico, so they still kinda had that, they had pizzas and burgers and sandwiches and stuff like that, and when you're in Mexico, you can only get Guinness either by the bottle or by the can. You can't get it in the draft. It's just not a thing. So,
Really? Yeah.
more times than once,
It's
I
probably
literally
expensive.
drank them.
That's wild.
Yeah, no, it's
That's a
because they
lot.
only get
That's a
so
lot.
many. Yeah,
But even then, you say like so, I feel like they would even Irish pubs would have good fried foods. Like they would probably have at least good fries or like, you know what I
oh,
mean?
sure.
So I just feel like, and I think that's just pub food in general. I'm a big like pub food, diner food. Like I'm a sucker for diner food. And I think that's maybe because that's kind of like what I was
Diner,
used to
like
growing up around Spanaway, like
Danny's and
diner, like,
Sherry's and stuff like
breakfast
that?
foods
Yeah,
or like, yeah, or no name, like a mom and pop diner that sells waffles, pancakes, like,
sure.
country roast type of like foods, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
then, or like if a place sells, like, obviously if a place sells burgers, grilled cheese sandwiches, like, man, I'm a sucker for all those things. Or, and then like, if a place has like meatloaf or like, dude, like all those things is like, for me is like diner food. I could go hardcore. It's just
yeah.
something that I don't know. I'm just like fond of, and I'm not, I'll go to the Sherry's and the Denny's and I still like going to those places and it's, but I just tend to like the mom and pop joints. I feel like they really, they try to have their own little twist. They'll have something different, like this place is known for omelets. Like there's a place in Seattle called Beth's Cafe and they do this 12 egg omelet, so it's like, it's probably
Eesh.
one of my favorite places to eat.
Yeah,
And yeah, so that's what, yeah, man, I'm a
yeah, I'm a
big
foodie for sure.
food. Yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So thanks for, joining us on the SwaySide Connection podcast. How did you, how did you hear about this podcast that you're currently on right now?
So my good friend Chip Wade, we keep in touch quite a bit, and
No,
occasionally we'll kind of meet in the middle and go grab a beer or something like that. He was supposed to come out this weekend. Something came out, but anyways, we got to talking, and he told me he had a
meet in the middle.
podcast.
Wait, hold up. So where are you at
I'm over
nowadays?
in
Like what
Central
area?
Washington. Yeah, close
Okay.
to,
Okay.
not far from Leavenworth.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. Dope.
So we were gonna meet in the middle, but yeah, he told me that you had
Where
a
would you meet
podcast,
in the middle at? What's in the middle
like
between Western Washington and Leavenworth? I'm trying to think. Like
Cleellum.
Cle Elum? Oh yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
like Cle Elum. Yeah, Cle
it's a
Elum's
nice
dope.
little
Yeah,
town. Yeah,
hell yeah, hell yeah. Gone camping out in that area a lot, and then it's not too far from Ellensburg, so I've been to Ellensburg a lot. So no, man, that's dope.
yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
no, you're good, man. So he told me all about it, and then I was like, "Well, let me YouTube it real quick." And then I saw one of my lifelong buddies there, Carl Long. I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
recognized him right away. I could pick him out of a crowd.
Yep.
and watch that whole finally had some time, watch the whole podcast, and then, I dug into the one with you and Chip, and then I saw a lot of other familiar faces too.
Yeah,
So I was like,
for
"Man,
sure.
that's so cool that he's doing that," because I feel like I never went to any reunion,
Yeah,
and so you forget a lot of the people that,
a
you know,
thousand
and so
percent.
you see these faces, like, years later, and I mean, I think we're approaching 30 years or something like that's insane.
We are.
And yeah, and
We're at
so seeing all the
27.
yeah, I know it sounds crazy, especially a
Crazy.
lot of these people you meet these days, man, and you're like, "How old are you?" And you're like, "Ah, you'll never guess," like, um,
Yeah. I I feel like for so many people have come on, like, like we don't really feel our age, even though, like, if you were to tell ourselves in high school that 40 whatever years you're old would be on like a podcast talking about, your high school days, I
yeah.
don't know. I just feel like we would think that's so old. But then like
I thought they were old. Yeah, anyone that was over 40, I was like, "Man, that guy's like an old man."
exactly. I don't feel like how I thought about, I don't feel that like, I don't know. I just, it's kind of messed up because, pretty sure most high schoolers think that most of us like, that we're just super old and that we are, past our prime and whatever, and which some of it may be true or whatever, but I definitely
Right?
don't feel that way.
No, but
And then when I see people like you and like other people that have come on, it doesn't feel that way. It's,
right.
so
I think when we were that age and you looked at people, I mean, I feel like people that were in the 40s back then when we were like in our teens, like if
yes.
you look at their picture, if you like froze time and look at, I feel that they looked
Yes,
older than we do now.
a thousand
Like,
percent, a thousand. Like
I,
they looked 60. Like somebody that was
right?
45 kind of looked 60. So
Yeah. And I mean,
for
and
us back
occasionally,
then,
occasionally you still see it because I'll meet someone my age and I'm like, what's going on here? The guy looks like he's 63,
yeah, exactly.
and
No,
he's my
exactly.
age. And I'm like, it's,
No,
I don't know.
exactly. Yeah. And then also the way we think too. I just feel like, I don't know if it's because we kind of grew up with different type of technology or I don't know. I just feel like it's not really, I don't know. It's one of those things that it's not, age is something that's it's so weird
Yeah.
to think
I am,
about. And the speed of which we got to this age is so crazy because it's like, oh shit, it's been 20 something years already since we're in high school. Like it doesn't feel like it was yesterday, but damn, it doesn't feel like it was like 30 years ago. 30 years sounds so long.
yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at that, the whole blur of everything, and it's like, but it feels like also too, and this is a thing that I've been seeing on the internet lately. Time is going faster, way faster, or at least
Yeah.
we perceive it to. And it felt like back in the high school days and junior highs, it felt like those times were longer. But
Yes.
I don't know. That's just a thing
No.
that's going around the internet right now.
I feel that. I feel that too. I mean, because I also feel like the way we were impatient when we were kids, and I think this might go for a lot of kids. You're just way more impatient when you're a kid. So the time, all the days, hours, whatever, stretch super long. Like 5 minutes of boredom back then felt like 5 hours. So just like if you were in a class where it was felt boring, it felt like you were in there for days when you were probably only in there for like 40, 50 minutes or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and now with our phones now, specifically our phones, like available to us at all the time, we never get to feel any boredom ever. We're never bored. Literally, if you're ever bored, most people, I do it all the time, pick up my phone and I scroll or whatever. And, and there's a thousand things you can scroll on a thousand different platforms and like you have no excuse to
Right.
be bored. There's easily brain rot stuff all over. And so I
You're,
think that speeds the time up too, because now
yeah.
it doesn't feel like, you're suffering and like cause your
Now I look
brain
back and
constantly
I'm like,
occupied.
what did we do before phones? Like, I don't even remember. You know what I mean? what did we do to, like, if you're sitting in a place and you got to be there, I mean, other than class, I'm
You
like,
just
what did
sat.
we do to pass time?
Yeah. I mean, so if you think about it, that's how waiting room magazines got sold. Like, I bet magazines used, like, they lost, so like phones killed like magazine sales to businesses,
Big
because
time.
businesses used to have like, I think that was one huge one. Like, there would be a thing of like 10 different magazines. There would be like
Yeah.
maybe one Sports Illustrated, People magazine, Newsweek, and then you'll have all these like random magazines. And then you just kind of, and then, man, you'll pick up a magazine and it'll be like 2 months old. But you're just like, okay, you're still going to read it because it's better than just sitting there doing nothing. So it's
Yeah.
just so funny how, like, as time goes on, it's like, man, like
You wouldn't
technology.
touch if you probably weren't waiting.
Yes, exactly. Because now any article you want to read is available on your phone now. And so, no, I think
Yeah.
like some of those technological advances, that it's so funny to bring up, because you don't think about it until you get a chance to actually sit down and like actually think about some of these things. And so, yeah, I definitely feel
I,
like
I feel, for what it's worth, I think we were really blessed to grow up in
I
the era
agree.
that we did,
I
because
agree.
the kids now, man, I'm like, man, like, we were outside all the time and you can make a game out of a lot of different things. I felt like we were far more creative and everything meant a lot more, you know?
Yeah, it's different now, right? Obviously, kind of like how you say that. And I think we grew up in the perfect sweet spot where technology was available. You could still kind of like get addicted to video games, because video games and stuff like that. The internet wasn't as, the internet was around, but it wasn't like we weren't using it as much. It was like, it's so funny looking back, and like the internet was like, such breakthrough technology that not everybody had access to it yet, like we do today. Like, everybody has access to it every single moment. So it's so funny, because I think that was the perfect sweet spot where the internet was new, like people are learning about it, and like we're, figuring things out on it. But because it wasn't developed yet, we were, like you were saying, we had to be more creative in everything we do, whether it's going outside, playing, waiting, all the things that now is consumed with our attention now is our phones. It's like, man, it's crazy just thinking that was an interesting time. The
Yeah.
other one that I also laugh about is like making plans without a phone back then. Like, that was
Yeah.
amazing, especially
Or trying to coordinate something. Yeah.
high school, specifically high school. Man, if you made plans with somebody, like, it's crazy. Like, it was all tethered to your home phone. So like, you had to be at home. Somebody had to leave a message at home, whether you had an answering machine or not. And then like, you had to do the thing and then like follow through. And then if you didn't at any point, you weren't going to connect. But people connected all the time back then. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
we made it work.
You're
If
like,
I were
how
to
did
make
we ever do it?
Exactly, because if I were to make plans today, I'm literally texting people all the way up to the moment to where I finally like meet with
Yeah.
them, you know?
You're like, I'm walking in the door right now.
Exactly. Happens all the time. Leaving my house right now. I'm on this street right now. And, so, but back in the day, I mean, it was just like, hey, I'm going to be here at 7. And then that was it. And it was like, man, hopefully so and so shows up at 7. But
Yeah.
like I said, it worked. People showed up and I feel like there wasn't too many plans that, didn't happen because somebody, didn't get a message or something. So I don't know. It's just kind of funny thinking about. So,
Yeah.
so man, so like, where were you born? And then like, when did you come to Spanaway?
So I was born originally in Burien, Washington.
Okay.
Um, and shortly after that, probably when I was about 2 or 3, we moved to Southern California.
Oh, okay.
And we were in a little town called Escondido, which is outside of San Diego.
Yeah.
And I remember I think I went to 2 or 3 different schools in that time frame. So I got moved around quite a bit. And then I want to say it was 3rd grade, we
Okay.
decided to make the move back home. So we basically left everything behind and drove up the coast back to Tacoma at the time, because that's where my grandma was. And obviously
Yeah.
my mom was really close with her and everything. So we started back there. And then the first school I went to was called Geiger Elementary, which is off
Whoa.
of like 6th Avenue. You know where it is? Like,
No,
I don't even know
but
if it's
that's
still
why.
there, but it was 6th Avenue in Tacoma.
Yeah. Wow. Do you have any siblings?
I have a half sister actually, and she lives in Oahu,
Wow.
but she didn't come to be until I was, I think, already out of high school.
Okay. Okay.
So for the most part, I was single mom, and then I was the only child.
Got
But anyways, so long story short, I went to Geiger, and then from there, I think it was about fifth grade, or maybe the middle, is when we made the move to Spanaway, because I think my grandma also moved, so we wanted to we found a duplex on the street
Nice.
behind her.
Okay.
And so my first day of school, I remember walking. So we lived on 16th Avenue, Court East, which is right
Yeah.
off of 168th, as you probably
Yeah.
remember. And I'm walking to the bus stop, and lo and behold, I see this kid there, and he's got a younger sister with him. So that kid ended up being Carl, and he was my first friend in Spanaway.
Nice.
And then turns out, I can't remember whose class I was in the first, but yeah, my first friends I made at Evergreen Elementary were Carl, Chip. I think Joel Martinez was in there somewhere, and then over the years, the circle grew a bit.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, and then as we all know, or at least Cedar Crest up to Spanaway Lake. So
Yeah.
and then yeah, after high school, I got out of Dodge and began my so-called journey.
Nice. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Just real quick. So like your elementary days, do you like what type of did you do any extracurriculars in elementary, junior high, Evergreen, Cedar Crest?
So when I first got there, I first started getting into football. I was always a big football fan, so I wanted to get involved. And I think we were on the same team for Evergreen. It was a flag football team. And I remember Chip was on the team, Joel was on the team, and a couple other kids, Chris Belser.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
You remember
right.
him?
Evergreen. Yeah.
And then who was our quarterback in junior high? And he was really good, and he got thrown into varsity.
Our year?
I can't remember. You remember who I'm talking about?
Was he our year?
Yeah. Yeah. And they wanted him on varsity when he was a
7th grader?
when he was
8th
in
grader?
7th grader. No, because we were in 7th grade. Because I remember 7th grade for Cedar Crest, we went undefeated, and they wanted him to play in 9th grade football because he was such a dominant force. And I wish I could remember his name, but anyways.
Was he black or white?
No, he was Asian.
He was
I can't remember.
Asian.
Number 10. And I was trying to find that photo to send to you because he's on the photo. So he never went to high school with us. I don't know where he ended up going.
Yeah. Was it Young?
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Young Lee or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to butcher it, but yeah. And he was in a league of his own, that guy.
Yeah.
If you remember.
Just for being a 7th grader, like he was just like super athletic for a 7th grader at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do remember him. Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of how I got into football originally. I was never really any good. And then as we went into junior high, it was great, but I've never really played the position that I really wanted to play.
Oh, what did you want to play?
So if you remember, when we played our pickup games, I always played running back. And there was times, and I'm not trying to brag, but there was times where I wasn't getting tackled. And I was so shifty.
You were.
Because you may remember Barry Sanders was hands down my favorite player.
For sure. For sure.
So I wanted to be like the white Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
And I remember, I still remember when we finally got you out there. Because one of the memories that stands out to me is one of the first times you came out to play with us. And I think it was probably like 7-on-7 or something like that. And we were pretty crazy back then because we played full contact without any pads. And we just ran with it.
Yeah.
And I remember they kicked you the ball and you're on my team. And I don't know why you started laughing as you got the ball. And you went laughing all the way down the sideline and nobody could catch you.
That's
It was,
crazy. Yeah. That's pure excitement of just
yeah,
like, actually being out there and then like showcasing my speed and stuff. Like I didn't know what was going on. And cause, it's funny. Like I tell people all the time, like, I never played during in junior high and all that stuff. Like I never played in elementary or junior high, which I think, man, I wish I did because I think I would have been so much better when I got into high school. And but those pickup games, I played hella pickup football because I do remember getting blasted by like high school kids when we were in junior high, like playing pickup
smash.
random. Yeah, I remember getting smashed by like
I
random
went
high
to the
school kids.
hospital
See,
once.
exactly. I mean, like, yeah, it's so funny. I never played organized football. I mean, because I look back and like that's one of my biggest regrets is like not playing in junior high. Because man, I think we would have been good. Like I think I would have. I don't know, like how much better I would have made the team, but I think I could have. I could have contributed for sure. But it's so funny just how all the random like Thanksgiving time, just all the random times we would play just
Yeah,
like around, we played a lot of street football too, like get out of the street, let cars, kind of go by. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
like, we're counting to, for Mississippi, or whatever, and
yeah.
so like before you can rush the quarterback. I mean, because to me too, for me, man, that was probably some of the funnest times was like some of the pickup games that we played. And even though we were just kind of like smashing ourselves, like you said, you're going to the hospital. That's crazy. What happened? What happened
So
there?
I still remember there was a couple different games that stick out to me at those times. So I want to kind of tell you where my running style came from because out of fifth, sixth, seventh grade, I was not a good player at all. I was just your average Joe, couldn't catch the ball to save my life. So one day it starts snowing. And anytime it snowed, it was like we all knew we're going to play football after school. Like it's just
Yeah.
a guarantee.
If we even had school that day, because like snow days
Yeah.
were days that we were. So that was actually a good combination for us to all just go play. Snow day, no school. Hey,
Yeah.
what else are we gonna do? Like, we're all meeting up somewhere, especially at that age, 12, 13,
Yeah.
dumb
So
kids.
I remember it was snowing and we confirmed on the phone and we confirmed before we left school that we're all going up to the high school to play on the field at whatever time, 3, 4 o'clock. So snow kept coming down. And I remember Chip showed up and his brother showed up. And I remember on his episode, he was telling you they all ran track. So they were all super fast.
Super fast.
There was no outrunning these guys whatsoever. So the funny part about that game was I think I was the only one prepared and I brought cleats and everyone else was wearing tennis shoes.
Well,
And
yeah.
so because I knew I couldn't outrun the guys, I remember like it's snowing pretty heavy. So I would run and literally just stop in my tracks. And I still remember, I think it was his brother Chet just went sliding by like 10 yards. And I just cut the other way. And I can't remember how many touchdowns I had. And I was like, holy cow, this is like a whole nother way of running is just using people's momentum against them.
For
And
sure.
and that's kind of how I developed that style. But yeah, so the story about when I went to the hospital, I had actually gotten several stitches in my, I still have some scars, but it was in my chin. And we had, I think it was same thing, bunch of older guy, like high school guys, and we were in junior high or something like that. They showed up to
Yeah.
the field, and this one guy, it was like out of a movie, man. He was huge. He had this bald head. He had a bandana on. I think he probably already had a beard. I can't remember, man. He was so intimidating.
Yeah.
And like I'm playing defense, and I still remember he calls me out. He's like, I'm coming right at you. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna, and I don't, last thing you want to do is not try to tackle the guy and then
Yeah.
everyone make fun of you. So
Yeah.
the guy ran, so they ran basically like a sweep, and the guy's running literally right at me. And he's probably double my weight. And I'm like, here goes nothing. And I dove for his legs, and I did happen to grab his legs. And as he was running by, the momentum, one of his cleats came up and hit me in the thing.
Oh, yeah.
He ended up doing a flip and landed on his back. And everyone was like they couldn't believe I tackled him. And I stood up and I just remember there was just blood pouring from my chin.
Dude.
And I'm like, "Okay," and luckily, we were in walking distance, so I
Yeah,
walked all the way home, and I almost passed out at one point. But yeah, a
dude.
few stitches later, and I was good to go, but to this day, I'm glad I at least made the effort to try to tackle the guy and not, like, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
wouldn't do it.
At that age, I wouldn't have, like I was still, it's funny, like, it wasn't until our sophomore year I had like, and I brought this story up before on this podcast where we're playing and it was like late in the season. We've lost a ton of games, kind of going through the motions, and we're doing a drill where so I'm at linebacker and I forgot who had the ball, and then but I kind of like did one of these and like did a fetal position, and then Coach Wright called me out in front of the whole team and was like, literally was like, he literally, those were his words. He was like, did you just go into the fetal position? And then like, he had like a 2-minute rant just pounding in like, so it's funny because you say like, how you look in front of your teammates and stuff. I mean, that, there's nothing that was more embarrassing about being, like, it wasn't him yelling at me, but it was the fact that he was yelling at me in front of the whole team. And it just made me look hella weak. And then literally after that moment, for the rest of the time, that was like that chip on my shoulder that I needed. And I was never scared ever again, ever to kind of like what you just did, like, like face somebody 2 times your size. It didn't matter. Like I was coming. And so it's funny because like that embarrassing moment was like, yeah, that helped catapult my like no fear type, like when I was on and then I never had that. I never questioned any other hit ever again after that. Like it was
Yeah.
just like, and then what's weird, because then that combined with confidence, because then like I noticed like, man, when I'm not scared and I hit somebody, it kind of, it's weird. Even if somebody's bigger than you, it's weird. If you have enough speed, you could kind of hit through somebody, and it's like kind of like people say it's like similar to like hitting a home run on the sweet part of the bat where you just kind of like run through somebody, even if they're bigger than you or something. But that's
Yeah.
all, physics. And that's, like, so like, it's weird how like combined with confidence, physics now, like using my speed. And I was never really afraid to ever like get blasted, which, which led to like me. I had a few concussions while I played, but
I
that's
had one
also
of those.
part of it. Exactly. So, yeah. So,
Um,
what's
yeah,
your
I never
concussion story?
so two-a-days. You remember
Oh,
those?
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Which
what was his
year?
name? It was when we used to do the overnighters and stuff. Was that our senior year?
We did it every year. So
Trying to
every year
remember.
we
So
would have at least one overnighter usually to end the week of, we'll do 1 week of 2-a-days. And then that like usually Friday going into Saturday was like an overnighter. And then like, that Saturday was like a scrimmage. And then
that's
that's
right.
kind of how we ended the week of 2-a-days. And then Monday was just like regular practice, one practice, and then kind of
Yeah.
went from there.
So I still remember. Okay, so it had to have been senior year because I want to
Okay.
say. So it was. We were running a scrimmage, and you remember this guy? He was a year under us.
Okay.
Last name was Tuggle, Jesse or
Oh, yeah.
Jermaine. Yeah, he was skinny kid, but he was quick. So there was a play. He got the ball and came around the corner running right at me. And I played corner. So thinking he's gonna juke me out, I get on that ready position to see which way he's gonna go. He goes right through me,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
the back of my head hit the ground, and that's what caused the. But I didn't know it was a concussion at the time. But
Yeah.
I was kind of like a little confused about things, and I think I forgot a couple plays that happened like prior to that and stuff like that. So I'm guessing
That's the
that's what
worst
happened.
that's the worst situation to have happen, when you think somebody's gonna juke and they don't, and they just run through you. Because that's literally, I brought this up too in like previous podcasts too. The very first day of 2-a-days, the first day of pads, all these, man, I feel bad for people listening to these, are all recycled stories over and over, but they're mine and I'm just gonna keep telling them. But first day of pads, our sophomore year, literally what you just explained with Tuggle, it was me with Derek Rawls.
Oh,
Same thing. I thought he was gonna juke me, and he did not. He ran
yeah.
through me,
He
and
gave me
like
a
that's
bloody
the
lip one time.
yeah, literally, that's the only time I've ever gotten snot bubbles. Like I said, I've mentioned this plenty of times on it, but only time I've ever gotten snot bubbles was that hit. Like thinking he's gonna juke, and he did not. He just like literally just, and it was one of those where it's like it was clean. Like it was just like when you have all the momentum, and like the other person is not, steady or has their feet locked in, just you're not in position, it's just like running through water, and I was watered that day. So no, man, I feel those. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
no,
feel you,
man.
man. Same guy, he sent me, we were doing a pickup game on Spanaway Junior High's field, and I think it was a kickoff or something like that, man. He just threw a forearm right to my face, and
Oh,
freaking, I mean, he was a cool dude as we ended up going to school together and stuff like that. But yeah, I
I
was
would
like,
not want, yeah,
okay,
pick up with Derek Rawls would not be fun. I mean, just
no,
playing regular football was not fun. Like if going against him, as us being 2 years younger than he was or whatnot, and
yeah, I
he
remember
was,
he hit someone, he tackled someone, man, and he just was like full blown, like chest to, and you could like almost feel the hit from, even you weren't even close to it. You're like, man, that guy hits so hard, he runs so fast. Like,
yes.
I was glad I wasn't the guy that got tackled, but
Yeah, his
yeah, it was fun.
speed mass at his age was ridiculous. So like him to
Yeah.
be that fast at his age or with that much weight,
Eh,
like and it's not like he was heavy, but he's basically all muscle. So yeah.
yeah, big time.
Did you play any other sports when you were in elementary, junior high, at least?
Just outside of just with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, I remember countless days we would be at Joel Martinez's house playing basketball,
Okay. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
we'd be on Brian. It's funny because all my circle of friends at that time, we all lived within a street or two of each other. Um, Nobody was really far out. Um,
Like you
so we'd
lived on
go.
16th, I lived on 14th. You know what I mean? I lived right next to Spanaway Lake. Like my street was 14th, and Spanaway Lake is literally right
Oh,
next
I
to it.
know.
All
We
our
used to
practices,
cut
I
through.
used to just jump. Yeah, exactly,
We used to cut
exactly.
through your neighbor's yard
To get
to
to
go to the high
practice, yeah,
school.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it was me, Carl, and Chip used to play like Night Ninja, and we would dress up in all black, and then we'd go out like at midnight, and we'd cut through the. So at the back of my house at the time was this huge horse pasture,
yes,
and so we'd cross that, and then we'd get onto, I think it was your street after that,
yes,
and we knew which neighbor's fence to jump to get into the high school. And it
yes,
was a really funny story. So we were stupid kids, and we would tip over the porta potties and stuff like that. And then if we heard any noises, we'd just hide in the bushes because we're wearing all black, and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was such stupid fun that we had. And I still remember the stories. So it was getting pretty late. We came back, and in this horse pasture, I don't know if you
How
remember,
old are you
there
guys
used
at
to
this
be,
point? This is junior high.
had to been maybe tail end of junior high, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you remember, that horse pasture used to have a handful of horses
Yeah,
that were there.
yeah,
And I guess, I don't know what happened, but so to get back into my yard, you had to climb over a barbed wire fence. And
yeah.
so we got running across this pasture late at night, and you couldn't hardly see anything. And I think it was a horse started chasing Chip.
No way.
Chip and Carl, yeah. I booked it, and I got over the fence pretty quick. And I think Chip literally just ran and dove over the fence to avoid the horse. And I can't remember if it was him or Carl cut their hand like pretty good on the fence.
Oh damn, yeah.
But we were like, man, that horse almost killed you guys. It was a funny story.
That's
But no,
amazing.
to answer your question, just things with friends.
Yep,
I was a gamer, so I think when I first got into Spanaway, I was like the first kid that had the Super Nintendo,
yep, yep.
and I think a lot of my friends came from just the simple fact that they wanted to go to this kid Ryan's house just to play
To
his Super
play.
Nintendo. So that's how that came to be. But none of the other sports really interest me as far as, and even football at one point, I think I played sophomore year,
Yeah.
and I want to say I sat out junior year. I quit. I didn't. didn't want to do it. I was kind of frustrated with everything. I think it was a first year rule back came in, and I didn't like how things were going. And so I remember senior year, I ended up writing him a letter and apologizing and saying, asking if he would accept me back to the team.
No
Um,
way.
that I missed playing. And he's like, yeah, come on back. And I was like, oh, great. Because yeah, at that time, you know, I was in weightlifting class. I mean, football was pretty much my life. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I would everything football. I mean, the video games were football. I'd collect football cards. I'd wear football jerseys all the time. So it was a huge, huge part of my life. So I'm glad that I was able to finish senior year and yeah, I still
And
remember the last
play
game. Do you remember the last game?
against Bethel.
Against Bethel, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I hit who was that quarterback? Pat. He was our quarterback at Cedar Crest. Trying to remember his last name. You
Martin.
remember what I'm talking? Huh?
Martin.
Yeah, that's so he was
Yeah.
a receiver, and they threw him the ball, and I was a corner, and I ran, and I hit him, and he ended up fumbling. I think we got the ball back, and then I think
Oh,
time at halftime they pulled the starters or something like that.
yeah.
And I kid you not, I had tears in my eyes because I was like, man, I'll never play football again. Like I was not good enough to get,
That was
you
my
know, to go
last
to
game.
college. Yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, to love something that so much and just know that it was your last thing, you're like, man, it was so like, it was a bit depressing.
Yeah. No, it was heavy. It was heavy for me too, because I loved it. You know, all the things that came with it when you're part of a team and like just us literally growing up right next to each other, like people down the street that we grew up with. And then like, that's the only team I've ever been on. I didn't play at Cedar Crest, you know, like outside of pickup. The only team I ever played for was Spanaway Lake. So yeah, man, I felt that. I felt that too. It was just, yeah, it's just different. And then I'm like, there's so many things I regret. Like I regret not playing in junior high. I regret not trying to play. I was at UW. I could have tried to walk on. I didn't even try. Like all these things I wish I did, you know, where I could have like, at least even if I did and failed, it's like, hey, I gave it a go. And like having that regret is like, it's worse. And it's like, damn, I would have loved to have seen what I did. Cause I ended up playing like rugby when I got to UW. And then like my junior year at UW, I like ripped my pec. And then like,
Oh,
I was never the same after that. Like, yeah, I just was never the same. I never really went to a doctor either. I just kind of let it heal by itself. And then, yeah, so like, I still probably need to get it. I don't know if it could be fixed 30 years later, but like, I would always like, after Zach Olson got out of the Marines, he came to UW and we would work out. And then, I remember lifting, like I would do bench press, and then my bench
yeah.
press was always uneven, like because my
Man.
pec was never really healed, right? It never healed
Yeah.
properly. So it was always weird, like my right side. The weirdest thing is though, even though this pec was the weaker pec, when I took my shirt off, it looked like it was buff though, still. Like it looked like it was the stronger It's so weird because it was like the weaker pec, but it looked strong. So it was just one of those things and I never had it fixed. And so
Yeah. You don't want
one
to
of
be
my hugest,
lopsided.
yeah, I mean, so now it's like, now they're more like boobs now, but it's like, it's, I want to, if I could go back though, that's probably one of my biggest regrets is like, man, I should have just at least tried. And even hearing like Carl's story, cause so did you ever play like, cause Carl was talking about how he played a little semi-pro and stuff. Did you try any semi-pro stuff like that?
So we got kind of recruited from the same guy at that time from
Oh,
Snohomish
yeah,
Vikings. I went to a few practices, um, but I was really I think with just work schedule and stuff like that, I just wasn't.
yeah,
It just really wasn't in the cards. Plus, I wasn't really feeling the team. I felt like everyone else was so far advanced, and I was like, man, I probably won't even make this team, and I'm okay with that. Like I don't know. I kind of just gave up on the whole football thing at that
yeah.
time, and just fell into that whole matrix of just going home and going to work, and
Oh
that's all I
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And I mean, you had fun with friends and stuff like that. No, I never here in the States. No, I never played again.
Yeah. No, that's man.
But later in life, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Just to kind of recap or just cap off some of the, you know, Spanaway days. Like, man, do you have any other like favorite classes, teachers from Evergreen, Cedar Crest, or even Spanaway Lake that come to mind?
You know, I was I was giving this some heavy thought listening to the
Mm,
other podcast, and
yeah.
it's mind blowing. And hats off to Carl, because I don't know how he remembers a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he knows names and everything, and I'm like, man, like, how did you remember all that stuff? He's like, Rain Man.
Yeah. Some people remember the most randomest stuff. I'm one of those too. I can kind of remember like most randomest stuff. So, and then other
Yeah,
things like from that happened yesterday, I won't be able to tell you. So, it's just
yeah.
weird sometimes
A
the
lot
way
of good
people's
teachers
brains work.
and stuff like that, but I can't really think of any teacher in particular that really. I mean, I felt that they were all pretty good on one level or another, and a lot were very inspirational, especially our own coaches that we had.
Hmm.
But I can't remember really any, and it's unfortunate because I felt like I think a lot of that high school time for me was somewhat of a blur, and I was
Hmm.
kinda glad to get out of high school, and because I was never a school type person. If you remember, I had my small group of friends, but I kept to myself, and I wasn't interested in being, like, popular or anything like
Yep.
that. I just kinda stuck to myself and like that. But I look back on it, and I like to say it was a good time. But yeah, um, it was a long time ago.
It was. So that's why it's like, and like people also have been accused of coming on this show and just kind of like making up stuff. So it's like, and like some of this stuff we probably don't remember 100% accuracy anyway. So it's not like everything that's said on the show is the truth. This is just, for fun for
Yeah.
us to kind of talk about and like, just kind of like bring up some old like because like half of those I forgot that I even played pickup football until you brought it up, and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I never played in junior high, but I played hella pickup
So
football when I was in junior high." That's what's so weird. It's like looking back, it's like,
I do got a funny story
yeah, we
involving
love
you,
stories.
and you
Oh yeah,
probably don't remember. We were in a class, high school. Was it high school? Maybe junior high. Pretty sure it was
okay,
junior high. Anyways, long story short, we had to get in groups, and we had to draw these something. It was, I don't know if it was homes or islands or whatever. We had to draw up something. We had to create something, and I don't know what it all entailed. So you guys came up with an island. Do you remember the name
okay.
of it?
No, I have no
So you
idea.
you guys named it Indo Island. And
Okay,
and I remember at the time, we all knew what it meant.
yes,
So the teacher asked you, you go, yeah, this is our thing. It's Indo Island. And you guys had this whole thing drawn out and stuff like that. It was really cool. And she goes, what do you mean by Indo? And you were so quick to come up with, oh, like Indo outdo. And I think we started cracking up, and the teacher's like, oh, okay. And I was like, how did he pull that off?
wow. Yeah, definitely don't remember that. That's a man. Shout out to
It's one of
my
those random
quick
memories
wit.
that,
Yeah, that you
yeah.
remember. That's what I'm saying. Like we remember some of the like most randomest stuff. So
That was so clever of you to think quick on your feet like that and come up
for
with that, and I was like,
sure,
"Man, yeah, he
for
saved
sure,
himself for sure."
man, that's hilarious. So now man, now kind of like your journey after high school, kind of you could guide us there. And like, cause one of the things I know about you is that you're one of the people, like I said before, that, you're one of the only people that I know that's outside of the people that went back to wherever they came from, like the Germans that went back to Germany, and like maybe outside of Robert, who lives in Germany now too. But like, you're one of the rare people that I know that went to Spanaway that lives outside of the country, outside of like military people too. Obviously, military people that have been stationed across the numerous bases all over the world. Yeah, kind of like share that experience with us, man. I'm curious
Sure.
to hear
So
about how that all came about.
so out of high school, I think we got moved to Parkland,
Okay.
and the house was so small that I had called my dad, who lived in North Seattle at the time,
Okay.
and they had this huge house, and they had this whole basement set up, and they had been trying to get me to move there for quite some time. So I said, "Hey, is the offer still open? Because there's no way I could I mean,
Yeah.
my new bedroom was like the size of a closet. It was really, really small."
Yeah.
And I said, this isn't gonna, and plus I was already 18,
Yeah.
19, and I was like, I part of me has to leave the house. I know that my mom will never kick me out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I moved up to what they call the east side. So it was Kenmore, Kirkland,
Yeah.
Bothell area. And when
Which
I
is
got
so
there,
funny because that's where Chip lives now.
yeah,
That's so funny.
I remember. So I ended up getting Carl to move up there with because I think his living
Nice.
situation changed, and so I lived with my dad, which was really awkward because I was raised single mom and
Yep.
never really had a father figure. So when it came time for him to get mad and yell at me, we bumped heads right away, and
Yeah.
because and even to this day I still have a big issue with authority. I just don't, I can't
Yeah.
stand people talk like that. So long story short, Carl was moving at the time. We were both working at Subway making sandwiches up in
Which
Kenmore.
one?
If you're familiar with Kenmore and you know the top of, I think it's Inglewood is what they call
Hmm.
it, Inglewood Drive or something. It was right next to a QFC.
Okay. Okay.
Anyways, so we ended up working for this guy, and we rented our own little house, which was just next to my dad's house. It was such a tiny little thing, but it was a 2-bedroom, and it was like our first home. And it was like, finally, man, like we got our own place. We're out
Freedom.
on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, freedom. And if we want to have girls over, it's okay. If we
Yeah.
wanted, we can do whatever we want now. So that was fun. Me and Carl lived in that house for extended period of time, and I think we made a few moves,
Nice.
and some of which I think he had mentioned. But anyway, so long story short, I'll just kind of fast forward a little bit. At that time, I think 2006 rolled around, and I was one of those guys out of high school. I said, well, I did some college, and then I was like, well, I don't really know what I want to do. So at one
Yeah.
point, I wanted to become a police officer. So I actually
Yep.
tested with numerous departments, and at that time, just as Carl had mentioned with the fire department, it was the same with the police department. It was extremely competitive,
It's tough.
really
Yeah.
hard to get in. Yeah, and I applied with a few places, did some of the tests, and just never made it. And so I kind of, you hit that point, when you're in your 20s and you're like, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And as I was living in that east side area, I never really felt like I fit in. And maybe it's because I was from Spanaway, and
I
we just
feel
do
that
things
too.
different Spanaway.
For sure.
And I
For
felt
sure.
like, when I was up there, I felt like I was that guy that was more, even though I was not really much of a fighter, I was like, I felt more aggressive there. Like, don't mess with me. I'm
Than
from
everybody
Spanaway.
else. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Anyways, I keep getting off track, but as
No, you're
time
good.
went on,
No, man, this is part of it. This is how people talk. And so I think that's what makes podcasts fun, because it's basically a couple people just having a conversation, and people trail off all the time. So
yeah,
no, man, and that's what makes it a unique type of entertainment, is that it is not curated and like perfect. And like, even though some podcasts they have like great production. I'm not saying anything about that, but I think there's something genuine about having just people that have known each other from back in the day, just kind of like retell some of their stories. And so, no, man, go ahead, dog.
yeah.
It's all good, man.
All
It's
right,
like, it is what it is.
right. So at that time, I think I'd been to Hawaii once when I was a teenager, and so that kind of showed me something different, kind of like
Mm,
beach life. So anyways, as I'm in my mid 20s, and I think I was working up to 3 jobs, literally just to make ends meet, and I still
yeah,
was like, there was still a hole in the ship, and it was still going down. And I'm
for
like,
sure.
man, what am I gonna do? Like, nothing interests me at all. Like, my buddies were getting these little side jobs here and there. My other buddies were getting into cable installation, and I just, there were so many people doing different things. None of it interested me at all. And I'm like, man, like, and my intuition at that time was just screaming at me. Like, I felt like, and I don't know if you ever had this feeling, but I felt like there was a better life waiting for me elsewhere.
1,000%. A thousand
And I'm
percent.
like, because I couldn't click with the people there. Like, I felt like it sounds funny, but I'm not the tallest guy. I'm 5'8". I felt like everyone was taller than me. Like, everyone was richer than me. I felt like that Skilo
Yeah.
song. I wish I was a little bit
A
taller
bit
and all this
taller.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like, this is not what life's about. There's no way this is it. There's no way I'm just here to work 3 jobs and then like be struggling. So my initial plan was like, I got to get to Hawaii. And I talked to a friend, and I think his aunt lived out there. So
Yeah.
I was ready to pull the trigger any moment on getting out of Dodge and saying, okay, I got to find something.
Yeah.
So in the early thousands, I was working at this restaurant in Redmond, Washington, and it was a Red Robin. And the guy I met there that hired me, he was about my age and similar background, and me and him hit it off right away. And keep in mind, at this time, I was not a social person. I was shy. I never drank. I was Mr. Goody Two Shoe. And so I remember one time he's like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I'm like, "Nothing." Why? He's like, "Come out and drink with us, me and the managers." And I'm like, "Can I do that?" And he's like, "Well, you're not supposed to, but let's go out." And I'm like, and I had just gotten out of this long relationship, so I was like, "Okay, I need
Yeah,
this."
why not?
So we go out to this bar. It was Kirkland Pub, and
Yep. I'm
you
in there
remember
before.
that place?
Yeah.
So I get there and he's like, "Hey man, what's up? Like, what do you want to drink?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I said, I know I don't like the taste of alcohol. So what do you recommend?" And he goes, "Oh, I know just the thing." And he looks over at the bartender. He's like, "Hey, get him a black opal." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay." So black opal, just so you know, is basically like a Long Island iced tea, but with
Long
I
Island
think,
Hurricane. It's just one of those. It's a mixed drink with lots of different alcohols, and yeah, it'll
and you
get
don't
you
and you don't
twisted
taste any
fast.
of it. It
Yeah,
just
you don't
tastes
really.
like a sweet grape juice or something like that. So I drank the first one, and then he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go dancing," and I'm like, "Not a, I don't dance. I'm first of all, I'm white. I don't dance. And second of all, I'm just a shy little dude, And I'm like, all right, let's go. So we go to this place called Belltown Billiards. If you've
Yeah.
ever heard of it, it was a
Damn. Yeah,
big
it's right.
nightclub.
So, I used to go there all the time because I
Really?
still, well, right around the corner is this bar, Ohana's, which I also call home base because I go there so much. Well, when I'm in Seattle, literally, it's one of my, like, I go there so much that I'll go there by myself and just like see friends, just because I've been there so many times. But man, Belltown Billiards, man, that's like some back in the, yeah, that's like in our 20s. So Belltown
Yeah.
Billiards was right around the corner. If you walk out of Ohana's, you take a right and then an immediate right, and then you go downhill, and then it's Belltown Billiards was this basically like a pool hall, but it was also like a club too on
Yeah.
certain nights. But yeah, they had like maybe like 10 tables in there, and then they had a side for like they had like lounge area, and then they had like a dance floor too. So yeah, man, that place was different places on different nights. One night it'd be like popping like a club, another night it would be just people in there playing pool. I've been in there for happy hour, like just
Yeah.
like after work. So yeah, man, that's one of my places I used to go to that was like, it brings back good memories. One thing about that place though, they did not have good ventilation. So like they didn't have air conditioning. So like when it gets hot in there, it gets freaking hot, like hot,
It was a
humid,
sweat box
gross.
for sure. Yeah.
Yes. That's crazy that you ended up at Belltown Billiards, because that's far from Kirkland too. Like that's also a drive.
Yeah.
You're coming from Kirkland all the way to downtown, basically
Yeah.
downtown Seattle, which is like at least a good 20 to 25-minute drive. So that's why it's
Yeah.
funny, like that you're drinking and then all of a sudden you end up at Belltown Billiards. But nah, man,
Yeah.
go ahead. That's funny. I love it.
So we end up there, and I think at that night I ended up drinking 2 more Black Opals, and
Shit.
I started dancing with this girl, and I was never the type to go up to girls. I just wasn't. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't built into my DNA at the time. And
It's not
I started
natural,
dancing with this. Yeah.
it's not
So I
natural
had
for, yeah,
yeah, I had this liquid courage, and anyways, long story short, I ended up dancing with this chick all night. And
nice.
next day, I see my buddy at Red Robin, and he's like, "Did you have a good time last night?" And I'm like, "I had an awesome time last night." I'm like, "When can we do it again?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"That was like the best time of my life." And the reason I bring that up, because at the time, this guy became the reason of the big transition.
Wow.
So this guy, so he became good friends with all of us. He knew Carl and our other
So
roommate at the time. And the cool thing about this guy, could be any night of the week. You'd be like, "Hey, what's going on tonight? It's Thursday. Oh, this place has 2 for 1, or this
yeah.
place has $1 beers," or like he knew where to go. He was just that guy. So we go to this place, it was a karaoke place in Seattle. Can't remember the name to save my life. Anyways, I call him up on the phone and I'm like, hey, dude, you want to come out with us? And he's like, hey, man, like his phone was kind of choppy. He's like, I'm in Mexico. I'm like, what? And I'm like, anyways, I'll talk to you later, man. I'm like, okay, he's probably BSing me, right? And so this is back when we had MySpace.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
sure enough, I start seeing his MySpace photos and I see him and his wife. They're dressed like in white linen shirts and pants, and they're on the beach and they're at night and they're having dinner parties. And I'm like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
So within 6 months, he starts calling me like, dude, you got to get to Mexico. Like, it's so amazing down here. Like, it's so cheap. Like, and he was just building it up like crazy. And I said, okay, I will. Like, I don't even need to think about it. I just
Yeah.
need to sell my stuff and go. And I caught, like, probably from family and maybe some friends, everyone's like, what are you talking about? You're going to move to
Yeah.
Mexico? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what are you going to do about retirement? What are you going to do about, I said, I might not even live that long. Like, what are you talking about? You know,
For real.
at that time so I was a fan for speed. I had I think a Cobra Mustang at the time, and I had this Yamaha R crotch rocket. And
Oh,
riding that thing around, I knew that at any given time, my time on this earth could end. So why am I worried about what could happen 50 years from now? And I might not even see that. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's a
So
great way
that's
to
kind of
look
what
at things.
yeah. So when the time came for him to invite me, I said, okay, I'll sell all my stuff and do what I can to get down there. The initial thought was to ride the motorcycle all the way down. I had map
Yeah.
quested it and everything. But anyway, so
That would have been
long story
that would have
short,
been an adventure too. Like just doing that. What's tight is that you had options and that you have agency and that like you just like, and this is why I love stories like this is like, man, you just know when you're not happy, and you're not going
yeah,
to sit around and just complain about it though. Like you do stuff, you take action,
yeah.
and that's what's dope about what you did. So no, man,
Thanks, man. Yeah. And I
it's
encourage
dope.
people all the time, man. If you're not feeling like, it's like that whole thing where you're not a tree, and I feel like,
Yeah.
we're somewhat seeds. And if you're planted in the wrong dirt, man, you're not going to grow. So I'm like, if it's not to your liking, just find something else. It's not, oftentimes it doesn't just magically get better. So I was super excited. So a series of events led up to the fact that we made this trip down to Texas, and my dad and my stepmother at the time had went through divorce. They split everything 50-50. So she had a bunch of money, and she's like, hey, why don't you come down with us? Cause we're moving to Texas. She's like, we're going to go to Disney for 2 days, and then we're going to go to Texas, and I'll fly you out I'll have you fly out from there. And I'm like, sure. I ended up driving this 26-foot U-Haul trailer, which I'd never driven anything that big, all the way down the coast from Kirkland. So 405 to 5, all the way down to Anaheim. And
Yep.
it was pretty much without sleep. And
whoa, yeah, that's about a 24-hour drive.
yeah,
Ish.
we stopped once in Oregon as like a little rest stop, and then we just pushed it all the way through. And I still remember the defining moment of the trip. So I'm so dead tired. I'm zombified at this point. My head won't even move, just my eyes. No, and I'm driving this massive truck in California. And even at that time, California drivers were very aggressive. I'm complaining and I'm trying to send them messages, and I'm like, when are we there? Like they kept saying, oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. So finally she calls me. She goes, you want to just pull over and stop here? And this is after I'm passing signs that say Compton, Inglewood. And I said, listen, at this time of day, this is probably the worst possible place on the planet to stop. I said, let's just push through to Anaheim.
Yeah.
I think we got there at like 3:30 in the morning and did the Disney thing for a couple of days. So anyways, went to Texas, and then I took my flight. She gave me like $1,000 and a brand new like laptop computer. She was very generous.
Those are huge.
Yeah, I told my buddy, hey man, here I just had a suitcase, a little bit of money in my pocket. And I'm like, here I go to start a whole nother life. I'm just gonna run. I knew I could come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I had to.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, I'll go to Mexico, maybe 2 years and feel it out.
Yeah.
So I kid you not, Heinz, I get there. And then within the first week, first it was big culture shock. But there was this moment where I'm walking on the boardwalk and it's at night and I'm next to the ocean and I'm so much in peace. And
Mm,
I felt like, and it dawned on me, this is the place that was waiting for me. Like everyone
wow.
is so cool here. I'm actually kind of tall here.
Yeah.
Like everything's so free. Like you can literally get these big gigantic beers and just walk around on the boardwalk. Nobody cares. Everyone's so cool and everyone's on the same page. And
That's dope.
I said, man, I am never going back to the United States ever. Like, why would I? That's crazy. I'm like, it wouldn't make any sense at this point. Like, I'm really living here and not
Yeah.
existing, but living. Um, so yeah, I was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Got into
Wow.
sales there. I was in timeshare sales, which I know a lot of people frown upon, but it was the only way to make a living in Mexico.
No, man, dude, you don't, yeah, you don't have to apologize for making a living, dude, doing whatever. It's like sales is sales. It's like, like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's
No,
amazing that you,
by days end, I don't care what they think, but I mean, it was
yeah, true.
I did what I had to do to make it. But being down there, man, it was like one thing after another. There's so much to do and people are so fun. And they're like, I tell people here all the time, they just don't get it. I'm like, it's so normal there for them to be like, hey, what are you doing after this? I don't know why. Let's go get a margarita. Okay, let's go. It's so
Yeah,
normal. And it could be
yeah.
any day of the week. And like if you didn't drink and be in Mexico, people thought you were a complete weirdo.
So that's interesting because you used to not drink.
Yeah.
And then like,
Yeah. I mean,
obviously we talked about your love for Guinness and then like love for pubs and stuff or just beers. And like, that's why it's so interesting. So then when you were down there, was that like, was it easy to kind of acclimate to that, like, drinking culture at all or?
yeah. I mean, I had a lot of nights where I had overdone it. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and I got there at the age of 26 and I spent my 27th birthday there. So
Wow.
I was still kind of coming into
That's
my
so
own,
dope. Yeah.
figuring things out and just and it just got better and better. I mean, I hit rock bottom when I first got there. I mean, there was a time where I literally went flat broke because in timeshare sales it's strictly commission. So if you don't sell,
Oh,
you don't eat.
yeah.
And I had to call my mom and she bailed me out once. She sent me like $1,000 because
Yeah.
I was literally down to 20 pesos, which is about a dollar. And
Damn.
I'm buying these little tostadas from this convenience store called Oxo. And I'm eating that as my dinner, and I'm like, man, like it's got to get better than this. Cause everyone,
Yeah.
people I work with, I see them living the rock star lifestyle. And, but I
That
think
I think that adds to the pain because like to see somebody right next to you, like you said, living a rock star lifestyle and you're just scraping by, I think that adds a little insult to injury, as they would say, you know what I mean? But it also, I feel like I said, for me, sometimes like, we all need different types of chips on our shoulder to kind of like, motivate us. Some people it's like getting married or having kids or whatever. And so I just feel like it's sometimes those are natural built-in chips to people's shoulders that get people to do amazing things. Cause I think we all are capable of doing amazing things, but sometimes it's just like lining things up to do those things. And I've struggled this with my whole life because I feel like I've been wanting to chase things that are easy, that come easy to me just because I'm lazy like that. And then, so that's why it's like finding something, liking it, and even if it's hard, trying to push through is kind of a struggle. So that's part of like why I started this YouTube channel, started this podcast. It's a way for me to practice this as a skill and practice my communication. And I'm just hoping that throughout time that I keep getting better. And then along the way, I get to like catch up with people from Spanaway and old friends and like tell old stories. And so it's kind of
yeah,
hits all
man.
those things. But yeah, man, that's why it's like amazing hearing like, damn, like people go through things. And like, so that's why it's like people
Yeah.
say all the time that they don't want to come on this show because they feel like their life is boring or, if you don't want to share, that's fine. But I don't feel like I feel like everybody, like if you're still alive, then you have a story to tell. And I would love to hear it. And so
Yeah.
for you, just
It,
talking about that is like, man, it hits home because it's like, man, I've been that broke before where it's like, you're on struggle bus or whatever. So it's just like, yeah, man, it's like it resonates for sure.
It brings up a good quote about life, and there was my favorite movie of all time is Tombstone, if you
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah. I just watched it like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's my all-time favorite movie. And unfortunately, yeah, Val Kilmer just passed away, so rest in peace to
Yeah.
Val Kilmer.
Yep.
But at the end, Kurt Russell tells him, because he goes, "What did you want?" And Val Kilmer asked him that, and he goes, Kurt Russell said, "I just wanted to live a normal life." And Val Kilmer says, "There's no normal life, Wyatt. There's just life." And it's like, man, you can't compare to anyone because everyone's on their own journey.
Yes.
I got out of that a long time ago, is trying to compare or be. I definitely am not
Yes.
envy of anyone. I celebrate other people's victories too, because I think it's awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the only thing that really holds us back, is fear of the unknowns and stuff like that. But that's also where, in the quote that says life begins outside your comfort zone. And I totally agree with that 1,000%.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah, as you probably know, the rest of the journey. So I spent 7 years in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and then
That's
ended up
crazy. That's so,
buying so I got into the law of attraction, the secret and stuff like that at that time.
yeah.
And I was always the kid, we never had money, stuff like that, kind of the Spanaway story. And so at one point, like I started watching The Secret, and I think that first like month or two, I finally put like 5 grand in the bank, and I never had that much money in my life. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, now I can order on the other side of the menu. I can order what I
Yeah.
really want. And
Yeah.
and it just got kind of better and more surreal, and it just kept progressing. I mean, I still had my ups and downs when I was there, but I tell people all the time, like, if you're in Mexico, you can live as rich or as poor as you want. You'll still have a good time because it doesn't cost much to go get street tacos, and hang out with people is always free, and everyone's down to go to the beach at any time. So,
In
but yeah, man,
American dollars, you go to get street tacos and say you want to get enough food to be full and then have like a couple beers. How much in American dollars would that cost?
I wouldn't know what it is today because I'm sure it's gone up a bit. Probably not terrible, but at that time, I could just tell you. So one of my favorite things was coming home from work. The bus would let me off at this little corner, and there was this little taco stand. It was Tacos al Cisne. And these ladies used to hand press the tortillas, and
Wow.
they would grill up this carne asada. And I would get 2 quesadillas, which were good sized quesadillas. Like it would fill you up
Okay.
for sure. And they would put like all this homemade sauce on it. And they'd give it to you, and you'd put your cilantro and your onions and everything else. And I'd get 2 of those and a bottle of Coca-Cola, the original Coca-Cola
Oh
made
yeah.
from sugarcane.
Yes.
And I think all this ran me like 60 pesos, which basically came out to $3.
Oh,
And
snap.
it was my go-to because if you didn't have, and I didn't have a lot of money for a long time, I was like, and the food was so good though. That was the funny part. It's like, even though I'm eating cheap, I'm eating so good. Like even if I had
Yes.
a ton of money, I would still go to this place, you know?
Yes.
And, but yeah, I did
God, you're
7
making
years
me
there,
hungry.
7 years there. And then, at one point we decided to make the move, and we literally drove cross country in Mexico. So we went coast to coast. So I went from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, all the way to Cancun, and I went to a wedding there. So I kind of had a little sample of Cancun, but when you first see the white sand and Caribbean blue water, it is somewhat surreal. And
So you're driving West Coast to East Coast. What made you want to make that move to Cancun?
we kind of had to at the time because at that particular time, things were getting dangerous. Um, yeah.
Okay.
And some people we knew had disappeared,
Oh,
and yeah,
that's
things like that.
crazy.
And I tell people a lot of the times, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. If you got to look over your shoulder, it's not worth it. You know,
Yeah.
um, so I had just bought my dream vehicle. I had saved enough money, and I had all this money. It was in cash. It was the funny part because I was in sales, and they used to pay you cash. So they bring you literally bags of money.
Oh my God.
So I bought my dream vehicle that I'd wanted for about 3 years. It was on kind of like my vision board, and I was
Yeah.
so excited. And so we get to drive it all the way to Cancun, and yeah, we started our journey over there, and that's kind of, as the story progresses, that's how I got back into football. I got into weight training.
Oh,
And then I found a flag football league. I played some flag in Puerto Vallarta quite a bit, but
yeah.
I finally got back into it when I got to Cancun. And then a series of events led up to the fact that the guys were like, "Hey, we have this arena football league. Do you want to join?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Like, of course I want to
That's
join. And
that's
I was
so
probably like
dope.
early to mid 30s getting into
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
I was working out a lot and I was training with this guy, so I was in pretty good. And plus, it's so damn hot down there. People don't understand.
Yeah.
Like it gets hot here in Washington, but not Mexico hot. Like that's a different hot.
Yeah.
That's humid. Um,
Humid. It's humid here.
so we used to train quite a bit, and so I got back into it, and I was so excited. So I bought my helmet. I bought the pad. I was so excited to get out there, and I just wanted to hit somebody. And I'm like, man, like, and I think we were scrimmaging like this little college team. And I kid you not, man, I was just looking for contact. I was so happy to hit people. And then I kind of wised up and realized, well, I don't really have medical insurance, so I better kind of take it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story went on, man. We won some championships,
That's
um,
dope.
and I kept playing. I continued my football career through that, and then flag football, which was extremely competitive there in Mexico. And I did that probably until my early 40s.
Hell
And
yeah.
I
Damn. That's so
and I felt
dope.
like I competed at a high level, and I realized once I'm not competing at a high level, it's time to call it quits. But yeah, in hindsight, 15
Father
years
time.
total. Yeah, living in Mexico, and then yeah, a series of events, got married, and decided, okay, I'm ready to come back home after 15 years, and so got back into the States in 2022, and then have already made a number of moves, and the story
What made you
continues.
finally decide to leave Mexico? Because like you said, at one point you were like, I'm never going to leave this place. And now, maybe 15, 20 years after that, you're just like, okay, maybe it is time to leave. So
Yeah, I feel every 5 years you look back, like when I was 25 and I look at myself at 20, I said, man, what was I thinking? What was I doing? Like I was a completely different person. I feel like every 5 years is kind of like your reality check, and I think my thought process when I got to Mexico versus midway point to, okay, now I'm in my 40s and now it's time to turn the page. I'm not going to go zip lining or ATVing,
yeah,
or I can't play football forever. And now I have my wife. And so I kind of want to travel more and see some things. So the defining moment was I came home. This is like February, and you could probably relate to this. The temperature outside was about 92, and this is
brutal.
February, and the
Yeah, brutal.
humidity is like 80%.
Yeah,
And I'm one of those people, like when I get hot, I get so irritable. Um,
thousand
and
percent.
I just got back home, and I just was so upset at everything. And I had been
Yeah,
thinking about it for a while. I just finally told the wife, hey, you want to move to the States? Cause I'm just done with this.
yeah.
I said, I miss my family. I miss the holidays. I miss cold weather.
It's
I miss the
crazy. I miss it
conveniences
too.
we have. I miss
I
speaking
miss
English
those
to
too.
everybody.
I miss that too. Literally you're hitting everything. Yeah. No, I agree.
Oh,
Everything. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So that's kind of the journey thus far. No regrets. I would do that whole thing all over again. Um,
yeah.
and I would even be down to go check out a whole nother country,
Oh
and I
wow,
wouldn't be
yeah.
scared to do it, man. Yeah, for sure.
Nah, man. Nah, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's tight. How did you meet your wife?
Really interesting story. So I always believe everything happens for a reason, and nothing's by accident. So I had gotten out of this really. Actually, Chip introduced me to this gal because she used to live in Seattle. She was a Hispanic gal. I met her in Fort Lauderdale. We dated short period of time. Extremely toxic relationship. And anyways, we had just finished up. I was single for a few months. And then I also had that vision that there's a girl out there that I'm gonna meet, and it's gonna be the girl I've been looking for. And so anyways, I met her. It was such a random thing. We went from place to place. Actually, I was looking for Guinness. The 2-3 bars that normally have it were out, and it was even the Irish pub was out of beer, Guinness, and I'm like, okay, this is a sign we're not supposed to be here. So we went to this other bar, and she had just started working there, and yeah, we locked eyes, and And I think she was one of the only girls in my life that I ever asked out. And I'm like, hey, I
Wow.
normally don't do this. And she was like, yeah, right. But I'm like, yeah, you want to go out? So yeah, our first date, what I think was about 8 hours long. We it was at a restaurant, stuff like that. And yeah, now
That's dope.
we've been together almost 11 years.
Oh, that's dope.
And that's kind of the short story of how we met. But it was by design because any bar could have had that beer and I would have been at another bar. So
For sure, for sure. Nah, man, nah, man, I like the way you kind of like make moves, man. Like you're just like driven by action everywhere along the way. You've taken action on, whatever it is. And man, that's commendable. So I have to
thank you.
give it up to you, man. Yeah, man. Thinking back to now to before we land this plane here, are there any businesses that you remember from back in the day that you can think of that maybe bring up some memories of your time back in Spanaway at all?
Like when I came back
No, like
or
back in the day, like do you remember going to like, like people always bring up like maybe like Spanaway Speedway or like spinning wheels, just like do you have any others that maybe come to mind, like stores or businesses that you used to go to back in the day that maybe not might be around anymore?
yeah, actually there was a card shop there on Pacific Avenue that me and Carl used to ride our bikes to. It was called the Lineup, and I think it burnt
Yes.
down or something. Do you remember that?
Oh, did it? I do. No, I remember the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now there's a card shop now kind of tucked in behind Home Depot on this little site, like over by Taco Bell and Home Depot. And I
Okay.
talked to the guy that runs that shop, and I think the original owner of that card shop, he passed away, but it was our go-to. It was like, hey, you got a few bucks, like let's ride our bikes down 168, cross Pacific, and then go to the Lineup was the name.
Yes.
And then next to that, there was a little restaurant called, I think Dairydale was the
Oh,
name of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Dairy Dell. Yep.
And we used
People
to
have brought
get
that one up too. Yeah.
yeah, we used to get peanut butter milkshakes, and they were delicious.
Nice.
But those were, I mean, and it was sad to come home and see that the Speedway was just full of houses now, and
Yeah.
Spanaway. One of my favorite drives is going all the way down Pacific Avenue, cresting the hill, go down into Tacoma, go straight through, blast out to Ruston, and then wrap around all the way to 6th Ave and go down to Titlow Beach there and watch the trains go by and stuff like that. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Pacific Ave doesn't look like it changed really one bit. I mean, just more people, you know.
There's somebody on Facebook. Oh, I almost forgot the pictures. So,
Oh yeah.
because this is what made me think of it. Somebody just posted somebody driving south on Pacific. It's a video from like 1982. Somebody
I think I
driving
saw
south
that
on,
one.
dude. It's like I couldn't help but watch it, and it's like crazy because it looks so foreign, and then like a random and then it goes past Paradise Bowling Alley, and I'm like, oh damn, that's what it looked like in 1982, and it's just like, damn, it kind of looked like that for like 20 years after that. You know what I mean? And so it's so funny
Yeah.
because there's like certain businesses that are like definitely not there no more, but then other ones that have been replaced. And so it's just like kind of like how you're saying, like, yeah, man, it's funny because like, businesses come and go. And so it's just kind of interesting to see like which ones stay there, especially the ones on Pacific, because we did drive that a lot. So
Yeah. It holds a lot of history, that's for sure. And I think my parents even met in that general Spanaway area back in the late 70s, you know.
snap.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my dad went to Bethel High School actually, and they used to call it Cow Pie High.
No way.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, that's it. 'Cause it was surrounded by pastures, and there was a lot of cows and stuff like that. They called it Cow Pie High.
Okay, damn. I didn't realize that was. Oh, here we go. Okay, let me know if you could see my screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
Perfect.
So I guess I'll kind of.
Yeah, you can narrate for us while there we go. Try to zoom
All right.
in.
So I don't know if he has a copy of it, but top left is me and Carl Long, and that's you could see by the photo. That must have been right there in about 5th grade or so, 5th, 6th grade.
Nice.
Like I said, he was my first best friend there, and that was, I think, maybe one of those random camping trips or day trips that we'd go up to we used to go to Rife Lake and some of those other places. I can't remember the name, but yeah, that was
That's dope.
an old picture. You could tell by the
I love
hairdos.
those old ones. I love those.
And then let's see, top right. That's me and Chip. Obviously, that was first time he came to visit me in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and we were up in my condo having a cup of cocktails.
Nice.
So that was a good time. And then I think you got to scroll down. Okay, so the next one off to the right, a lot of us remember Brian Sweeney. He did pass away a number of years ago, but he did come to visit. I think he was my first friend to come visit me
Oh,
when I
dope.
was in Puerto Vallarta, and that was one of the favorite places I like to go on the beach. And those margaritas were only like 50 pesos, so they're only like $2.50. And
Wow.
and yeah, he came down for I think 3-4 days, and so that was kind of our last time together. And I think
Man.
I think he passed away maybe 2-3 years after that.
Oh,
And then
man.
scrolling
Rest in
down
peace,
to the left.
Brian.
So on the left, we wanted to be different. That was high school prom, and that was after we had just gotten dressed. We hadn't gotten to our dates yet, but we wanted to go all white, something different.
And looks
And
clean.
yeah, we were kind of like, that's what we were going for. We wanted to be look kind of fresh looking. So
Yeah.
just a fun picture I found in an old box. And then the other one to the right, so that's obviously Carl. It was his wedding day. That's me and Carl's signature thing is always a good handshake. If we don't get the handshake right the first time, we'll keep doing a handshake until it's the right handshake. um, it's just
Is
one
that
of those
you?
things. Yeah, so that's him on the left, me on the right, obviously.
Oh, you look different right there. So that's why it's like,
Oh, yeah, that was kind
maybe it's
of,
the stash.
I
I
don't
think it's
know.
the stash that makes you look
Probably
different.
before Mexico did a number on me, But
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a good time. I came in from Mexico on that one, spent I think a week there, and we did the wedding and stuff like that.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool. Um, all right, and then scrolling down just more so Mexico days, obviously. Picture on the top left. So I played for this team called the Diablos. That was the Arena Football League. So
Dope.
that was me probably about mid-30s right there. And then the one on the right was just me running, and one of my best friends at the time was blocking for me. That we'd play on those little tiny soccer fields. So that field that you see, they didn't
Yes.
have a terrible amount of padding under that grass, that artificial turf.
Snap. Yeah.
They just basically chop up a bunch of rubber and scatter it through the field. So there's these little rubber tiny black balls inside in the turf, and that was what absorbed most of the impact when you got tackled. So, not to mention it was extremely hot and humid. The picture doesn't
Oh,
tell the story, but man,
yeah, I bet.
even though we were playing at night, it was brutal. The heat, like you probably drank 2-3 huge bottles of water per game just to survive.
Wow. That's good too,
Um,
man. Like you said, like, and you didn't really have like medical insurance during that time either, correct?
No, but I will say this, like the cool thing about Mexico, and this is why a lot of people go down there, everything's much cheaper.
True. So like if you were to get something
Yeah,
happen to you, you could probably pay it out of cash and it's affordable instead of like the crazy prices that they have in the States.
exactly. Yeah, I had
Gotcha.
actually a appendicitis surgery when I lived in
Oh,
Puerto Vallarta, and I spent 3 days in the hospital, meds and everything, and then I walked out of there and I paid cash. At that time, it was 50,000 pesos, so that came out to $2,500.
yeah, like that's
And a lot of
like
people think right
10x.
away, like, "Oh, you're in Mexico. It must have been." I mean, it was scary being in Mexico, but the hospital name was AmeriMed, so it was the closest thing I can get to American.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize the University of Guadalajara, which is outside of Puerto Vallarta, is one of the best in the whole freaking. It's by far the best in the country, but it's one of the ones that are well known within the world. And a lot of doctors, even from here, have gone down there to study.
Wow.
So
See, there you go.
So yeah, and then so not just medical, but dental, a lot of that stuff down there. Just, I mean, you could pretty much, as long as you got a savings account and you can spare a few $1,000, there's a good chance you can get it done. So, anyway, so back
That's
to the
dope.
photo. So top left. So that was my flag football team that we did in Cancun. So that was what's called a master league in Heinz. The funny part about that was the requirement is you had to be 30 years old or older to play.
Oh, dude,
So we weren't playing with kids anymore. And
that
I think
helps.
our team was like, you could have 2 players under 35 and the rest had to be 35 or older. And I felt like at
Okay.
that time I was in such better shape than everyone else my age.
I might go to Cancun just to play one year. This is something I would train for and then like look and try to maybe, man,
It was
because I miss
so
it.
much
I
fun.
miss it. I miss it. And I would love to play in something like that for like just one season, and just, that sounds
Yeah.
fun because I played like other leagues in Seattle, just like different sports, softball, soccer. Um, I haven't played flag football in a while. Although I think the last time I played was maybe like 15 years ago. And
Yeesh.
I know. So it's like super, super duper long time ago. But what's funny is though, playing in those leagues, playing soccer and well, especially soccer that involves running, the 20-year-olds, like they run circles or that's just natural, right? They're in their 20s. So, and it's like impossible to keep up with them. So it's funny to have a league where it cuts people off if they're under that age. God, I would
Yeah,
love to be a part of something like that
man.
because then
Yeah,
it just
my
makes
eyes
things
lit
more.
up because I
Yeah,
was like, "Man, I'm gonna run circles around these guys." Um, and I mean, there were some other
absolutely,
guys that were
absolutely.
really, really in good I mean, there was CrossFit guys there that were almost impossible to cover, but the majority of the guys were not, you know what I mean? And, you could literally just run
No, I
circles around
that's
them. It was
and that's why
amazing.
I wouldn't go right now. I would work out for that. I would train for that. That sounds like it's funny how like I wouldn't just train for natural just being in shape, even though it would be good for me. But like to do
Yeah,
something like that, I would train for that, which is funny because it's like, why don't you just train for yourself? And it's just like, I don't know. It's just, it goes back to kind of like why we do things. And, it's just interesting what sometimes you need a chip on your shoulder and like all that stuff. It's like, it's interesting to me. So, what kind of
yeah.
makes people do certain things. So, no, man, kudos to you, man. I'm just, it's sight. Like, I like living kind of like through some of your experiences because man I'm just like envious of you being able to do these things, you know what I mean? And it's because a lot of these things I just like think about and I'm like, they're just like daydreaming. And it's like, nah, man, some of you
Yeah,
out there, actually your age has gone out there and has like, had fun and like did things and moved around
yeah.
and, nah,
No,
man,
and
it's dope, man.
it's my thing, and I'm like, even at this age, I would still go. I wouldn't hesitate to go out and do stuff like that, just because it's like you're never really too old as long as you could still walk, you're fine.
Seriously. And don't take
But
walking for granted because there might be one day you can't walk. So that's why it's like,
right,
nah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like if people have,
um,
if you can do things, you can like, especially like walking physical things, man, enjoy it. Enjoy all
right.
of this time right now. So yeah, man.
So real quick, just the rest of the photos. So there was a group of us when I first got, kind of into sales and stuff like that. But about 10 of us had ATVs and quads. And it's also a
Yes.
fun place to go blasting up through the hills and the mountains and
Oh,
go out to little tiny towns nearby and eat off truly authentic stuff. And it was just a cool time with a lot of cool guys that were kind of also on the same page. A lot of those guys were either from the States or that was the cool thing about sales down there too, is you met people from all over the world. You met some of those guys in that picture were from South Africa, Australia.
nice.
One of my best buddies down there at the time, he was a Brazilian dude. Just so
That's
cool.
crazy.
And then on the bottom left was one of my business ventures I did. That one with we're in the red shirts. That was a buddy
Yeah.
of Mike of mine. He's the guy that got me into football. But I had started that business, and I don't know if you remember that thing. So that was called Knocker Ball, and you would get inside those things and basically run around and smash into each other. And there's a ton
Oh,
of you remember those? And
yeah.
There's like one where a guy's in a bull ring and the bull hits him and he flies like 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying about 12 of those things, and we ran like this side business. We'd rent out a field and we'd charge people, and we'd come up with all these crazy games and stuff like that. Like on my Instagram, I don't know if you ever saw, but I have a bunch of those videos where I'd make a whole compilation of people getting smashed and stuff like that. Just, just hilarious videos to watch. So,
That's dope.
and then let's see the photo on the right. That's me and my wife, Paulina. We've been together over 10 years now. That was
Dope.
a New Year's night. We had dressed up. So there's a really cool tour in Cancun. So if anyone's listening, they go to Cancun. The tour is called Xochimilco. And
Okay.
when you pronounce
Xochimilco.
XO, it pronounces that way. I don't know. It's really weird. But
Okay.
anyways, they're these river boats, and you got this guy, and I can't remember the name of the guy, but you know those guys that have those really long sticks, and they just poke them in the water, and they move the boat with those things. Trying to think of the name of it. But anywho, you sit on this huge table that's in the middle of the boat, and inside the table, like in these little like cubby holes, it's like loaded with alcohol, beer, snacks, and the whole time they're playing music. They're having you do activities, but they basically roll you around this whole location, and then eventually you have dinner, and stuff like that. So it was a thrill to um, do those types of tours in Cancun.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, I did a lot of the water parks down there. All of them very recommendable. So, and then those bottom pictures. That was in Cancun. That was actually on an island called Isla Mujeres. Highly recommend it. That was one of
That
my
water
mom.
looks amazing.
Yeah, and that picture, I don't think I really put any. I mean, that's literally how it looks when you're there.
Wow.
It is that color, and it's pretty awesome to see in person. But yeah, Isla Mujeres is pretty fun. It's just one of those little islands you go out to and hang out for the day. Um, but yeah, and then just the last picture is just me just living my life down there, and that's
That's
that
dope.
picture kind of summed things up on how I was living. And it was really memorable, and I'm so glad I did it. So
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
man,
man.
that's dope. That's
Now, have
I'm
you been
glad
down there?
I've never been to Mexico. I've been to
Wow.
so many different places. I know. I haven't even been to TJ or nothing. Like yeah, it's kind of crazy. So
Yeah, because it's pretty well. I don't know where it's from where you're at now, but I think from Washington, it's only about 5-6 hours to get down there. But yeah, super super cool.
you shared man, this is not the clearest picture, but you shared this with me on Instagram, and I was just like, dude, I gotta just at least show this real quick of this picture.
Yep, dynamite. That was funny. That dynamite thing behind us.
Yeah.
Yep,
How did you get
I'm
this
sure.
picture? Or is this like is this from the yearbook or
No, no.
because
I
the
think they
yearbook one is
gave us.
actually black and white. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, how did you get this
so
nice color one?
they gave us out these like little kind of like cardboard kind of picture holder things. I don't know if you remember. I think they did like individual pictures, but I'm pretty sure I thought everyone had a team photo like that.
Oh, yeah, I think
Uh,
you're right. I
and
think you're
then
right. Yes.
yeah, and
So
I
I
found
probably
it in an old box of mine and pulled it up, and I'm like, man, this is always a blast from the past because there's so many memories can come from one picture.
yes. So many memories.
Yeah,
And it's funny. It's fun. It's funny too, because if you look at you can see number 2 in the second row. That's Chip. And
yeah,
like it's so funny because like in his interview, in his episode, like, he kind of talks about how he goofed around like so much. And like it's just like evident in this picture of him just making that
yeah.
face as
And he said he got yelled at or something.
yeah,
that's just that's just
that's
Chip.
Chip.
That's normal.
Exactly.
Like if he made a normal face in that photo, it would be really weird, out of character for sure.
Exactly. That's why it's so funny. So man,
No,
I
that's
now speaking of numbers, because you were talking about Barry, like I didn't realize, man, did you wear 20? Were you 20?
Yeah. Yeah. I was
That's
20.
tight.
So getting into high school, I was so excited that that number was available.
Yes.
And then, as I continued my football career when I got to Mexico and stuff like that. So so I've probably played on like, I don't know, 10 different flag football teams in my whole time in Mexico. And every other time I've always worn 20, even in arena football, it was always 20. Even till today, I still have a pretty substantial collection of Barry Sanders cards, like 500
That's
cards.
dope.
And I still collect them. Yeah, it's just my thing. It's my little side hobby. Um, it's just one of those things that reminds me of being a kid. So
Man, that's dope, man. Yeah, man, this picture I was like, man, it really I'm just thankful that you had it and that you sent this over because it was just like you were saying, like a picture can mean so many things. It's like there's so many people in here. And it sucks too, because like if I try to zoom in though,
it
it's
gets a little
kind of
distorted,
more,
right?
yeah, it gets a little distorted. So,
Yeah.
but
Now, why did you pick 42?
yeah, man, I was a big Ronnie Lott fan actually, because
Yeah.
yeah, which is funny because that number is now retired because of Travis, who's also in this picture. I think Travis is up there, number 30. That might be him. It's
Hold
number
on.
30 up
You
there.
said Ronnie Lott. I got something to show you. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay. But yeah, I loved the way Ronnie Lott played. He was just a hitter. And so that's kind of what I wanted to be, especially after being embarrassed at a practice. And then
Check
like
it out.
let me
Ronnie Lott's rookie card.
let me see. Snap.
I think it's 1982 tops.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He was so like he was, yeah, man. I just loved his story and like how he played and like he was just a big hitter. He was just known for just making big hits as a safety. When I was that sophomore year, I thought I was going to play mostly safety, which is so funny because I didn't really play safety. I actually ended up playing more linebacker than anything else when I was at Spanaway. So I probably would have gotten a different number.
Yeah.
But
You were pretty
no,
good.
so
You were linebacker size, though. I mean, for the most part, weren't I mean, I don't know how much you
yeah,
weighed, but you're much
yeah,
bigger than I was. I mean,
yeah, I
not so
was,
much in height, but like you were just a big dude, man. You're just built different.
yeah. So, and I was fast enough to, because as a safety, I was too slow. So, like I was fast, but I wasn't fast enough as a safety. And so when I moved to linebacker, that was definitely a much natural position for me. And then like my favorite thing to do out of anything, which is so funny, was actually rush the passer. So I didn't mind making tackles like on run plays and stuff like that. But man, going after the quarterback, there was like nothing more fun for me than doing that. That was just like my natural, like what I love to do. So it's so funny because, yeah,
If you
go
could
ahead.
sum up your high school senior year in your best play that you ever did, what would you say it was?
Man, I got a sack against Luke Heward. That was probably like
Puyallup? Yeah.
yeah, Piala, like, and I needed a fully extend dive to get him too. So, but that got me in trouble because, my whole senior year, I probably led the team in missed tackles. Like Robert can like attest to that. But like, cause I would overcommit on a lot of plays. And like, for example, if I were to dive at somebody, a lot of times, like, kind of like how you were talking about how like how shifty you are. So it's funny because you were saying before, so you were probably saying that outside of, you feel like if you could have played any position, it would have been probably running back would have been like your dream position to actually play.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think like, and I did it a bit when I played arena football.
Yeah.
But later on in life, I did realize one thing. Even though I was quick and shifty and stuff like that, and it was like my favorite position, I was not good at following block. So
Yeah.
there'd be a huge hole to the right, and I would try to make something happen to the left,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'd get
Yeah.
tackled or thrown out of bounds or something like that. But
Cause there is
it,
a player now. There is a player in the league in the NFL now that is basically could have been like is the prototype of kind of like what you could have been if you kind of actually stuck with it stubbornly, I think. it could have
Who?
happened. Scatabo. You seen Scatabo play? So
It
Cam
sounds
Scatabo, he
familiar.
went to Arizona State.
Yeah.
He just got drafted by the Giants. And so he's on the Giants now. Man, watch that kid run. Scatabo, Skattebo. Dude, this kid, he's probably 5'8",
Yeah.
but he's like thick. And like, he's like the white Barry Sanders. I'm telling you, Cam Scatabo, man, watch some of his highlights. He
I will.
is fun to watch. He is like crazy,
Yeah, I know,
low to the ground, just like, he's hard to get down. He runs super hard. He's like a little bowling ball out there. And so I'm excited to see him play for the Giants. And like, he looks crazy great in college, but that's college. So
right.
I'm super
Doesn't
curious to
always
see.
transition.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm really, because maybe he's not good in the NFL. Maybe he's not. So
And
I
it's a
don't
long
know,
list.
because
Yeah.
I think it translates just his, like, how he uses his low center of gravity, like, to his advantage, the same way kind of Barry did. And so he's like one of the very, like, but he's not as quick and shifty as Barry was, but he's right there. So that's why I'm curious to see what you think after watching his, some of his highlights.
I'll watch some of his videos. And I'll shoot you an Instagram and let you.
For sure, man. Let me know. Let me know.
For sure, man.
So whenever you hear somebody talk about Spanaway or hear the term Spanaway, what does that make you think of?
First of all, because usually outside of Spanaway is where I hear it. So I do light up a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I went to Spanaway Lake High School. I think living over here, I mean, a lot of people know Spanaway.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, for me, I love talking to more of the older crowd and some of the people that kind of remember Spanaway the way it was, and the Speedway and all those other things. But yeah, I remember I was doing this sales job up here in Leavenworth, and one of my clients this lady came in. She was really cold. Didn't want to talk to anyone. She was like, and I was like, man, that's gonna be a tough one, And
Yeah.
And she had this little dog with her, I remember, and she was so like mean at first. She didn't even want to shake my hand, and I was like, okay, here we go. And she sat down, and I'm like, all right. So I said, where are you guys from? She goes, well, we're from Spanaway. And I'm like, what?
Yes.
It's like right away. It's like, those are your people.
Over. Yes.
And it ended up being a sale, and we ended up having such a good relationship.
Interaction. Yeah.
We kept in touch and stuff like that. But it was so funny because it was like, man, you're from Spanaway too. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
We're a whole different breed of people.
We really are.
Yeah, no, I've never been, in the end of the day, I do talk my fair share of shit about Spanaway, just because it's more poking fun at it, just because I'm from there and I can't.
Yeah, and like, I say this almost every episode. It's like, man, I don't want to use this as like, hey, Spanaway was perfect. No, it was far from perfect. And like, people could talk shit about it if they want to, and,
Sure.
it's like any town, but it just happens to be the town where I'm from. And then happen to be this random dude to make a podcast about it. So it's just, it is what it is. It's just like I like looking at all these old high school people from throughout the country, all these old high school videos of like in the 90s of different high schools. Yeah. And I like to think of this podcast as a way to look at videos like that, but like in a much deeper level. Like, you can actually like go back, talk to the people that are in those videos, and just have them talk about their experiences and like what it was like, and like what it was like with technology and all this different stuff. So, but yeah, no, I don't want to glorify Spanaway,
Yeah,
but
not by any means. And it would have been so nice if we would have had, like today they got so many cameras, but there's also kind of like it would be cool to see, but it's also kind of like, it's almost fun to live it through the imagination because we're so descriptive about it. And so, I mean, we can really paint the picture.
For sure. Pros and cons, because it would have been weird to be around school and everybody have a phone or a camera readily available all the time. And like, that could have been actually worse for other things that could have happened. You know what I mean? But then like,
we would have been in a lot more trouble for sure.
Yeah. So, but also there is a freedom of like just being out and about and living in the time, living in the moment, and then not having that overwhelming thought of always needing to be video ready or picture ready, kind of like how people kind of have to be today, like almost everybody, if you're out, you kind of have to be video ready or picture ready. So, and I think that helps. And I think that increases people's anxiety level to different level. Part of the reason why people don't want to come on this show is that I'm sure they get anxiety of just the thought of even being on YouTube. It's like, I get it. So that's why I don't want to like force anybody to come on. And when
Yeah.
people come
I
on,
think,
I try to like have them come
think
on.
I think if people look at it like they're talking to an audience, it can be but I look at it just talking to you.
Yeah. And I want people to think that,
Yeah, it's
for
really,
sure.
and it's been such a good time to reminisce and stuff like that. And it's also fun listening to some of the other podcasts too, because, I put it on the other day and I was driving and it just I was laughing at your guys' stories because, I was there, or I remember hearing about it.
Yes.
And then I learned stuff also about, some of my friends that stuff I didn't even know. So
Yeah,
it's great that the podcast kind of drew that out. And, it's kind of fun to see the people for who they are and stuff like that and see how
for
they're doing
sure.
now in life. Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Nah, man. That's why I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you coming on, and to finish us off. I usually end this. If you could go back to 1998 and have a conversation with yourself, what would that conversation look like?
So I did put some thought into this and I still couldn't really come up with anything. So I'm like, there's so many cool answers out there, but with me is what you see is what you get. I would just tell myself, don't sweat the small stuff. Get the heck out of here while you
Yeah,
can and know that everything's going to be okay. Don't even worry about it. I feel, I'm not super religious, but I know, God's helped me out big time. And I felt, it saved my butt quite a few times. And so thanks goes to God all the time. So, but yeah, that's the only thing I would really tell my younger self is just don't even worry about it, dude. You're gonna be a-okay.
and don't spend time on being anxious or fearful. I feel like you've lived a pretty good life already where you have faced fears and done things off the beaten path. And so, man, I commend you for all of that, man. And I thank you for just
Yeah,
once again coming on the podcast.
thanks, man. No, it's been my pleasure, and I do feel sometimes people have things backwards. They begin living, but when it's a little too late, I think it's better to do it when you're young. And then you got some
Absolutely.
great stories.
Man,
Oh,
thank you for leaving us with a banger quote like that, man. I appreciate it. That's
I'm
Ryan Johnson again with you guys here today. And if you guys made it this far, man, you guys are amazing. We thank you for listening into our conversation, and we will catch you guys all in the next one.
thanks, Heinz. Thanks, guys.